Hey guys, before the video starts, if you enjoyed this episode and want to support my channel, consider supporting me on Patreon. Patrons not only get a shout out in my videos, but will also get cool access to patron exclusive content, such as animation updates, alternate endings, sneak peeks, polls that'll determine what future projects will happen, even early access to new episodes of Fan War an entire week before they're released to the public, and of course knowledge regarding episodes long before they enter production. Now that's a deal worth fighting for. The link is down in the description below for those who want to join. But for now, enjoy the show. As the land many creatures call home fall into despair, and chaos and decay replaces peace and prosperity, hope can sometimes seem lost in these once green Edens.
But in the end, nature always finds a way. And sometimes it falls onto nature's guardians to set things right. Like Ori, the spirit guardian of Nibel.
And Nakoruru, Mother Nature's guardian and the champion of nature. I'm one fish mob.
And I'm 3 crab mob. And it's our job to see who would win a fatal conflict.
It was a dark and stormy night in the land of Nibel, yet the mighty spirit tree stood, whose light allowed things to flourish throughout the land. But this would be a night no one would forget, for the wind that blew against the spirit tree's mighty branches swept one of its many children away, far into the night. Alone in the world with no one to care for them, the spirit, known as Ori, was found by a creature of the darkness, Naru, who took him in as her own child.
Ori and Naru lived happily with each other, working with each other, eating with each other, basically doing everything with each other. They truly were one big happy family. But the spirit tree and their children were desperate to find their lost family. And so one night, they called out to Ori with the light that created him.
However, in their attempt to reunite with Ori, the light frightened Naru, who hurried Ori back to their cave. But while it failed to attract Ori, it grabbed the attention of another. And in an instant, the light that brought life to all of Nibel ended 3 that night. With only 1 egg surviving, Kuro only knew one thing. She had to protect her child. And Nibel felt her wrath.
With the life-bringing light cut off from Nibel, the forest that once flourished became blind, falling into decay and ruin. The once plentiful food was disappearing. Naru struggled to provide for herself and her child. But even with help from Ori, she ultimately succumbed to starvation. An orphan once more and with no reason to stay, Ori left the home he knew. As they grew weaker from starvation and the lack of the spirit tree's sustaining light, they too would succumb as their mother did.
But it was not the end of Ori. In fact, it was the beginning of a new age. Sensing their child had fallen, the spirit tree used the last of their light to revive Ori, giving him the brand new task of reviving all of Nibel.
And while Ori may be small, he does pack one hell of a punch. Most creatures fall to Ori in only a few hits, He can shrug off the most grievous of injuries, and can move and jump around his environments like some sort of super monkey.
He survived 2 falls from above the cloud layer unharmed, easily navigates the most complex of environments, and can break through large rocks with ease. Given the size and thickness of said rock wall and comparing it to Ori, this is a feat that would require 142 kilojoules of energy to pull off.
Ori has near limitless stamina, running, jumping, climbing, and swimming through all sorts of environments, never once tiring for even a second. I can't even go 5 minutes on a treadmill without breaking a sweat, let alone an entire desert and its ruins in one go. How does he keep up?
Well, it might stem from Ori being a spirit. As a spirit, Ori can collect the spirit energy from defeated foes or by destroying certain objects, which he uses to restore health and energy, or even trade with other creatures as a form of currency.
So you're saying Ori trades the souls of his victims with people like they're cash at a dollar store? And here I was thinking Ori was just a pacifist wimp.
I wouldn't treat Ori that lightly. As he was born from the spirit tree, it's possible Ori's own power directly draws from the same light as all spirit trees do, like Ser for example.
Oh, come on, it's just a tiny ball. What can this nabby-looking wannabe possibly— Holy crap!
Despite his more peaceful ways, Ori himself packs a lot of firepower, and has a lot of abilities to use at his disposal. He can rebound off of objects, projectiles, and enemies with Bash, crush rock with Stomp, and move in quick bursts with Dash.
With Light Burst, he can throw a ball of condensed light to bash off of or lob them as explosives. And with Regenerate, he channels spirit energy to heal any injury he receives. And that's not the only thing Ori comes packing with. Ori has plenty of tools to work with.
For this battle, we'll give Ori his original partner, Sane, the eyes of the spirit tree of Nibel. Sane typically follows Ori to act as a guide, open certain entryways,
Or, to kick some ass! This little bugger can fire volleys of flame so hot, it can be used underwater, or he can charge it up for a fiery blast.
Ori also has a feather which fell from Kuro herself, which he uses to glide from high places, float on wind currents, or blow things away with a gust of wind.
It's no wonder why he was able to save all of Nibel.
Well, technically it was Kuro seeing Naru, who was revived by the light, holding her injured child that made her realize by acting on her rage, she allowed all of Nibel to suffer like she did, and ultimately put her last child in danger. So, to redeem herself, she took Sane back to the spirit tree to save all of Nibel and her child, sacrificing herself in the process. And to honor the owl's heroic actions, Naru adopted Kuro's surviving child as her own.
So the day was not saved by the one who did all the work? Seriously? Well, at least their home was saved, so I'm guessing it was all sunshine and rainbows after that.
Until Ori and his new sister Ku accidentally flew to another land that was going through the exact same thing as Nibel was. Got separated, Ku got critically injured, and Ori had to go on another journey. This time to save the land of Naiwen from decay, save his little sister, and to defeat another terrifying giant owl.
I know both of these games are masterpieces, but damn, that is some pretty crappy luck Ori has.
But it wasn't all bad. On his new journey, Ori learned how to manifest weapons and tools made of light to aid him in battle, like the Spirit Edge, a blade sharp enough to cut through bone, wood, and rock.
Or the Spirit Smash, a hulking hammer used to pound enemies 6 feet under or knock down pesky barriers.
Ori can also generate fields of energy with varying purposes, either to create a field of light to navigate dark tunnel systems, or release a quick blast of fire to ignite all caught in it.
But that's not all Ori gained in Nguyen. He has a whole lot of spirit shards that he uses to upgrade certain abilities he has. And while he can only hold up to 8 at a time, he can gladly swap them out whenever he wishes. With the Reckless and Resilience shards, Ori increases his overall strength and durability up to 10 to 35%. The deflector shard allows Ori to deflect enemy projectiles with his melee attacks, and the thorn shard causes a quarter of the melee damage Ori takes to be dealt to the attacker instead.
The catalyst shard replenishes energy when dealing melee damage. The life force shard deals 10 to 30% bonus damage when Ori's life is halfway depleted, and the wing clip shard deals bonus damage to flying enemies.
But despite being a very troublesome opponent, given all that he has to work with, that doesn't make him unstoppable. Nearly all of Ori's special abilities consume spirit energy. If he runs out, he'll be unable to use them, and due to his lightweight body, enough damage will eventually kill him.
But you'll have to catch Ori first, which is a lot more difficult than it looks, as he has once navigated an active volcano on the verge of erupting, defeated giant monsters on foot, outpaced an avalanche for some time, and has not only snuck around, but also outran many giant creatures that could easily kill him.
Yup, while Ori may not seem like much, he's a proven fighter and survivor, ready to tackle any adventure life thrusts upon him.
Until he learned of his true destiny. You see, spirit trees, like all living things, have a finite lifespan and will die of old age, like what happened to Naiwen's spirit willow. So in order for life to continue, a spirit born from a spirit tree will need to embrace the dying tree's light and take their place. So in order to save Naiwen and Ku, Ori chose to fulfill his destiny and embraced the light. Succeeding the Spirit Willow, Ori now spends his day as the new Spirit Tree of Naiwen, his light bringing life and prosperity to the once doomed land, living with his family for as long as they lived.
Though his days of adventures may be over, there is one thing the lands of Nibel and Niwen will always remember.
All shall remember the night Ori sacrificed his old life, so others could live. It was the year 1787. Japan was in the grip of a new war, with countless lives being lost trying to defend their land and many more standing up to take their place.
You know, your typical pre-modern Japan story. Samurai battling each other either to save their country and or the world from some great force of evil, or to rule as an unrivaled overlord.
But up in the mountains, far away from the conflict, this was not the case. In the village of Kamui Kotan, everything was peaceful, everything was right. This is where the sisters Nakoruru and Rimuru lived. As their village was small and didn't have much, the two sisters spent most of their time exploring the wilderness that surrounded their village, quickly becoming attuned to nature itself.
So attuned to it, Nakoruru herself learned how to speak with the animals that lived there, which is why I now firmly believe she is the secret ancestor of Dr. Dolittle.
Illogical fan theories aside, both sisters spent their days enjoying their peaceful lives. Until one day, a hawk named Mama Haha came to Nakoruru, holding her father's sword. And while it is vague, it's insinuated that her father died in the ensuing war and Mama Haha is actually her father's spirit reincarnated. Possible bird dads aside, no longer wanting the war to go on any longer, Nakoruru befriended Mama Haha and made it her new life mission to bring peace all across the globe, while also protecting all forms of life nature has to offer.
By beating the shit out of everyone that moves! Now that is my kind of pacifism! Why talk it out with some jerkwad who wants you dead when you can just silence them yourself?
Well, it's not like she's one to just happily run into battle with a smile on her face. But if the situation ever calls for it, she is able to stand her ground if needed. She is strong enough to throw people several times her own size with ease and match larger men in reverse tug-of-wars after all.
She can also keep on fighting even with the most grievous of injuries and heavy blood loss, and can keep getting back up no matter what's thrown at her, even if it's being repeatedly shot by a Winchester rifle. Just look at her go! Taking it like a true champ.
She is also fast enough to avoid and react to most projectiles and keep up with plenty of her world's fighters, many of whom can strike and move faster than the eye can see. She can even keep up with people who can teleport.
Well, it shouldn't be that surprising she can move that fast. When it comes to fighting her world's many warriors, she prefers close-range combat, using her speed to exploit enemy weaknesses and punishing them as seen fit.
But that's not all she's got. As previously mentioned, she can hear and sense the voice of nature, and in some other media this includes sensing the spirits of others. She can even use the power of nature to heal her wounds.
Yeah, she's got the ultimate hippie powers. But why care about healing boo-boos when she can summon firebirds from the freaking sky? If I could do that, I'd never have people loitering on my lawn again. Speaking of which, Nakoruru is from a game called Samurai Showdown, right? Where's the swords?
Right here. Her preferred sword is the Chichi-Ushi. Also known as the Father Bull, it's a short katana sword designed for swifter strikes than what a normal katana can do, with a blade sharp enough to slice through flesh, bone, stone lanterns, and gold statues with ease. Given the size and thickness of said statues and comparing it to Nakoruru's size, this is a feat that would require at least 0.00018 tons of TNT to pull off.
She's also got her cloak, which she not only uses to beat opponents with, but also to reflect projectiles back to the ones who fired them. And if that's not enough, she also loves bringing her pets into battle. But for this fight, we'll specifically be looking at her most well-known pet, Mama Haha. In battle, she uses Mama Haha to swoop in on opponents, create tornadoes, and even carry Nakoruru for short flight.
Due to her coloring and overall body shape, Mama Haha is most likely either a red-tailed hawk or a red-shouldered hawk. To get a rough estimate of how much Mama Haha would need to lift, a healthy young man's weight is usually around 196 pounds. Hawks, like Mama Haha, normally can't fly away with prey that outweighs them, which is usually 2 to 3 pounds. Now, in comparison, the Haast's eagle, the largest known bird of prey to ever exist, weighed around 33 pounds and could take down prey 10 to 15 times their own body weight, like the giant moa of their time, which weighed around 550 pounds. Which means if we're highballing it and my math is correct, Mama Haha can lift 183 times more weight than a normal hawk could.
Damn, I'll never look at Eddie the Eagle the same way again. Not that she really needs Mama Haha to kick someone's tail feathers. She's got plenty of special moves up her near non-existent sleeves. She can dash at her enemy while cloaking her sword with energy, spin like a buzzsaw, or tag team with Mama Haha herself. Teamwork, swordsmanship, and fighting expertise, I can safely say these two are truly a force to be reckoned with.
But don't let that fool you. While she is skilled in the art of fighting and will kill if needed, Nakoruru is a pacifist by nature, usually preferring not to fight unless she absolutely has to. Her naive and kind heart has been taken advantage of in the past, and she does rely on Mama Haha for some of her techniques.
Not like that's going to stop her. She's battled opponents from all around the world, participated in the King of Fighters tournament, survived her own suicide attack, and assisted in defeating the almighty Verse, a being created from eternal negative energy, whose mere manifestation caused anomalies throughout time itself.
However, her journeys for a better world would eventually reach its peak. You see, she did her job at protecting her village and nature so well, she was eventually approached by one of the Maidens of Light, divine spirits who protect the world throughout all of time and space. And they offered her a place among them. But if she refused, another just as noble as she is would take her place. Fearing that it would be her younger sister that'd end up with such a dangerous job if she refused, Nakoruru accepted their offer, ascending from her mortal form and becoming one of the divine maidens herself.
Well, I guess while it may have not been what Nakoruru wanted, at least she can finally fulfill her mission. Bring peace to the world and protect the nature she ever so loved. Unless you get in her way, so watch out!
ごめんなさい。
勝負あり勝者ナコルル
Alright, the combatants are set. This battle shall have no prep time, no outside help, or home field advantage.
It is time to see who would win a fatal conflict!
Fight!
Fatality.
No, Nakoruru, don't go into the light! Who else will be SNK's mascot for environmental protection?
Ugh. Both Ori and Nakoruru seem roughly equal at first glance, with both being able to at least knock down large walls in terms of strength and having shown great agility during battle. At max power, that was a different story.
While Ori's defeated far larger opponents that could destroy mountains, Nakoruru only fought on par with opponents who destroyed cities. And we don't even know if it was the whole city that was destroyed or just that general vicinity. Even then, most of the time, she's just fighting your average samurai. And while Nakoruru is able to keep on fighting even with the most grievous of injuries, Ori survived falling from the cloud layer and hits from giant monsters that would kill a normal person instantly.
And while Nakoruru could move faster than the eye can see during battle, Ori was a lot faster when it came to navigating the terrain, using his impressive running speed and agility to great effect. While Nakoruru, who's never been shown to be quite as agile as Ori is, would struggle to keep up with him.
However, even with Ori's greater physical stats, Nakoruru still had the edge in experience, having had actual training in combat, and given how her fighting style specializes in punishing the mistakes of her opponents, it wouldn't be too difficult for her to find a weakness in the fighting style of the less experienced Ori and exploit it.
In more simple terms, think of this fight as like a battle between a bear and a hunter. The bear has all the power needed to defeat their opponent, but the hunter has the experience and know-how to take the bear down. So what really mattered was the weapons and abilities both had, and Nakoruru just couldn't compete.
Some would let Ori navigate the terrain even better than he could already, or even use it against his opponent. He could redirect any of Nakoruru's projectiles, had a lot more options for offense and defense, and had a lot more choices when it came to close and long range combat. And while Nakoruru may be able to hold her own against someone like Ori, not only does she have far fewer special abilities, but most of them wouldn't really help her in this fight. While she could sense where Ori was due to him being a spirit, that does not guarantee she'd be able to keep up with him. And while she can travel through time, that's not an ability she, nor any other Maiden of Light, uses for fighting.
And even then, Ori's plentiful spirit shards could counter a lot of what Nakoruru could do. The Thorns Jar being exceptionally useful against a close-range fighter like Nakoruru. And let's face it, Sane is a far stronger ally than Mamahaha was.
And while it is true Ori's spirit energy is limited, but given how much of an advantage he has over Nakoruru, how he can just simply collect more spirit energy from the environment, has attacks that don't drain spirit energy, and how he has spirit shards that also somewhat make up for that flaw, it wasn't really a weakness Nakoruru could easily exploit.
Nakoruru may have been the more skilled and experienced of the two, but with his greater strength, durability, near-endless options for defense and offense, and his larger array of spirit shards and abilities, Ori just had what it took to win this battle.
I guess you could say Nakoruru just took this battle a little too lightly.
The winner is Ori. Next time on Fan War.